Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Once again, here we are in that wonderful studio for another Instagram Live. This one's all about getting creative in that festive spirit. Consequently, I put on my Elvin green cardigan. That's about as festive as I get at Christmas, people, so that's the best you're going to get. No, I haven't got Father Christmas underwear on or anything like that in secret. That is it. So today is all about using my favourite products and getting the best out of the hair. Maybe for like a little bit of party hair, who knows, but also rescuing hairstyles and maybe just showing you something different with them. I'm going to go over as well sort of a couple of classic Unite techniques that we use on our education platform on unitehair.com, Unite Hair TV as well, to show you maybe example how I use booster spray slightly differently. It's very much aimed at hairdressers. Some people have seen it before, but as I said, sometimes it's always good to have a refresher. Just those little things that you may have missed application wise, why I use it, how much. So I'm looking forward to many questions, comments, and anything you maybe have trouble with using as well. Give me a shout out of what you'd like to see used potentially. And let's go through some of that as well. It's always a handy way of doing it. I've got a special guest in the room as well. He's going to come and say hello at some point, talk about what he's got going on, maybe for the new year. I do expect maybe to see Mike's thumb at some point because Mike is here and Abby's the other side of it. Abby, you show us your... Here comes the female thumb. She's our Instagram filmer. Mike is away doing his other stuff. So, without further ado, let's get stuck in. I've got a large dog walking around here as well. He might put an appearance in. He's getting closer and closer to the camera. He's nearly as big as it as well. He's half... What are you, Boone? I can't remember. Half Ridgeback, half Great Dane. Come out here. Come out here. Come on. No, he's not going to come. All right. Here he goes. Come on. Here he goes. Here he goes. Look at that. He's enormous. So he's our elf's Christmas worker. He's a good boy. So he's very nosy as well. Shy but nosy. So I'm going to take a section of this and get stuck in. Any questions are going to get asked to me. They're going to be repeated, so please feel free to ask a question. We are waiting here with bated breath by the phone. Any responses? And the dog's still here. Lovely. It's going to help me. So we first come in booster spray. Okay, booster spray, volumizing spray, designed to be used on wet hair. Now, anyone who's seen the old packaging of that, I'm talking way old, black lettering, that would have meant it's on wet hair. We shifted over to pink a few years ago, just a little bit more eye-catching, but this volumizing spray is designed to be used on wet hair. Well, of course, I'm the stupid hairdresser, that when we do things like Fashion Week and doing bridal hair, I like to use it slightly differently. And this is where I said it's for those hairdressers to use it like this. I would not tell a member of the general public to be using booster spray like this. So, coating wise, small amount. You saw me put in about 3-4 light dusts of it. Very important then, just to literally brush it through. Now, where it feels wet, because obviously it's going on dry hair, use the hairdryer. Hairdryer comes into the action on cool. You could use slightly warm, it doesn't really matter, but it's not on hot because booster is heat activated. So I want to actually, what I call it, I'm laminating the product on. I'm just drying the wetness out of it, but making sure all that product stays on the hair to be used at a later date. So if your hair was heavily compromised, had a lot of colour in, or your client's hair I should say, has a lot of colour in, chemical treatments, etc. I'm going to layer up quite a lot of this. I'm going to use a fair amount. So let's argument's sake, this is bleached hair. I'm just going to carry on. See, look at that, it's just like 3 dusts. Any questions so far, Abby, or not? We're doing okay?
We're doing okay.
Yeah. Anyone checking in, saying hello? We always like to give out a shout out. Hellos.
Shannon saying hi.
Hello, Shannon again. Nice to see you on here. She's one of my loyal Instagrammers, I believe. Who else? Anyone else? No, it's just me and Shannon. That's it. It's the Gary and Shannon show. Everyone's too busy doing their Christmas shopping. Okay, second time on. Let's do one more for luck. Doesn't really need a lot of luck, but I just like to show how much in the real world you are going to use of this. Okay, the hair's a little bit porous on the ends, we just soak it up a little bit more. And at this point, you know, you would be working through the whole head. The hair is going to feel very starchy and not too pleasant. You will be thinking to yourself, oh dear, what have I done? But do not fret, people. It's all part of the master plan. Okay, it feels really nice and what I call tacky, starchy, etc. So now we're just going to subdivide that off, just like we would do. And I'm going to come into it with, you can see how starchy it is because the hair is just standing straight out. It's not wanting to move anywhere where it hasn't got any that soft movement. So I'm going to be good when we do a comparison with and without. Come in with a curling iron of choice. And I'm just going to curl the hair. Now what happens to this is that the product, because it's heat activated, starts to almost be sort of, it's reactivated, and that's probably the best word I can use to describe it, is that the hair almost looks like it's sweating on you. It sort of gets a glassy effect. Up right into the base. But you've got great heat protection. And what happens here, with all that booster on there now, you're looking for consistency of heat. So that's what I'm checking for at this moment in time. It's just working through the hair nice and consistently. But you've got great heat protection, but it turns that booster into what I like to equate of as like an old-fashioned setting lotion or a hair gel. Supremely stiff and got a great hold to it. So I'm just going to clip that up to let that cool down. So just conventional, just like you would do in a conventional pin set on some hair. Let's just do one more. Maybe it's a good time to give a shout out. You know, doing something like this is a good one for anyone to practice if you're thinking of coming to Fashion Week in the new year and doing the Runway Ready class, my boot camp. It is very much a boot camp. It's an intensive 2-day class where we do everything to time. So it's really sort of to try and give you an experience of what it is like to work backstage, as opposed to, you know, let's do a ponytail and take an hour and a half over it. As well as that being good, what I find is that because I'm taking people for the very first time, I want them to be up to speed very, very quickly. So for me, it was the most challenging way of doing it, but then it takes away the shock value of what it is like to work backstage under pressure. It's not for everyone. Some people I find it's very much, maybe I'll call it here a licorice thing. You either love it or you hate it. And a lot of people just, you know, adore it because of that intensity and having to work so hard. Little sleep, not a lot of food, but then you've got the rewards at the other end of it. And some people, it's not for them. It's just not, you know, which is fair enough. I can't gauge you if you did come, whether or not you would like it or not, but we'd like to give you a heads up. It is a 2-day boot camp. It's to give you that experience, the intensity of working backstage, but also to gel you into a team, because the most important thing is to gel you into a team to find that we can all work together. So as a comparison, I'm going to take a section here that hasn't had any booster spray in. It's got some product, so there will be some hold in it, but let's just throw in a curl into this. So what I find through here, the heat transformation comes through the hair much faster. You haven't got all that heat protection on there. Consequently, it's much harder, easier to harm the hair, as it were, and the finish won't be quite the same. How are we doing on there? Anyone else popped on? Say hello.
Yeah.
Oh yeah? It's just me and Shannon. Shannon, give me a question. Tell me what you're up to Christmas. What's going on? So what you will find is these feel really nice and hard inside. You could do, as a little extra, use Max Control or Le Play hairspray. So let's throw some of that over the top. I'm going to go to Le Play because I love Le Play. Because it's so workable, so easy to use, so brushable. I can put in lots and lots of it.
Shannon wants to know questions about the class are on the website.
She wants to know, is the class on the website?
Questions, like frequently asked questions.
On the class itself? Yeah, but you can ask me some questions here if you so wish. Is she thinking of coming? That's the most important thing. You do the class, you're guaranteed to work the shows. It's really as simple as that. So a little bit of Le Play over the top as well. Let's just see what this does to it as well. I already know I've got great hold on it because the hair's flying back in my fingers as I'm pulling it. So, but yeah, you just apply to class requests at unitehair.com. It's as simple as that, and then you can register either your enrolment or you can register to enroll in the class. I've got someone here, I might as well bring him in now because he's experienced it firsthand, but he'll give you a different perspective of it. I'm going to bring in Todd De Silva, who's one of my co-educators here at Unite Hair. He's in to film a video today. Beautiful haircut, no doubt, as he always does. Todd, you've sent students up to the class, you've been to the class, you've been to Fashion Week with us. What was your experience? Because it's always nice to hear an outsider's take on it.
I think what I love most about Runway Ready is that you don't have to be a seasoned, experienced person that's been to it. And Gary's just such a great mentor that whoever signs up, it's such an easy way to get your foot into the door into editorial world. And I think a lot of us think it's a hard thing to do. But I think what the class does is it helps kind of build up to the day that you do a show. And I've had students go that have only been in this industry for months, and they go and they have an amazing experience. And I think what's also fascinating is you could also choose how much involvement you want while you're there at Fashion Week. If you just want to do a show or two, you can go and do that. If you want to do the whole week and you do as many shows as you can jam-packed in that week, you can. And Gary's there the whole time, and there's different teams and people there to help you along, and I think that's what's great. And obviously Gary puts the pressure on, and I think that's important when you go do something like Fashion Week. You don't want somebody to hold your hand and say, you're doing fine. You want somebody to really take you outside of your comfort zone and outside of your box, and that's what Gary does. That's what anybody that goes to Fashion Week gets to experience. I love it. I think everybody should experience it at least once in their career.
Yeah, and you can probably say traditionally, that wasn't your thing as a hairdresser, styling, etc.
Absolutely not. In fact, what Gary's doing right now, I think the first time I ever did like a set and I dealt with a curling iron and a Marcel, I lost all my fingerprints because I was just, working myself to the bone. But I think going out of your comfort zone is how you progress. It's how you get better. If you stay within what you normally like to do, I don't think there's any room for improvement. So that's what I appreciate from Runway Ready and Gary.
Okay, fantastic. I'm going to call Todd back a little bit in a little while,
All right.
Pump him for some more questions while I'm doing this, because it's nice to have someone else on in here, because, as I said, we're doing all these lives for all of the, most of this year. This is our last one, obviously, this year. And the 222 schedule live will be released on Instagram, and you'll be able to find all those in the coming weeks, beginning of the year, what we're going to be up to. So, we have brushed the hair through, and as a comparison, as you can see, the one that didn't have any product on, still quite nice, but it does not have that spring back that I've got where I've used the booster and maybe a little bit of hairspray, and also the finish on that. The hair stays joined together much better. With this, I'm getting little flyaways coming onto it. So what that happens is you can have a tendency, you've got to work just that little bit harder to create a smooth finish. smooth finishes being the most desirable at the moment, because we're going to that about polished hair, smooth hair is being very much on trend. So we really want to address that a little bit further into the class. So here's that the beautiful difference of using that booster is then it allows me to create all those sort of different hairstyles, etc. We can back brush it, tease it, etc. and do things like that. Create period hair, modern hair, but it's all about that hold that we're putting into it. And I can tease it, huge amount. Just get a teasing brush on there. Maybe even use my fingers to create something really quite curly. And this is the beauty of this, is that to do this traditionally without any product in, yeah, I've got some great curl when I'm building that up, but it can end up too frizzy when you brush it out, and it has a real problem with it. But I found with this, I can really pull that hair through, and it wants to go back into that set. And as you might hear it through here, I've really got a lot of tug on that still, and you can see there the finish, the shine, just wants to pop back into the original curl. And that's really what I was after. I wanted to do something that would replicate the hair being done if it was put in rollers and came out of a dryer, because that gives me the total last, longevity, control and hold when I'm doing bridal hair, etc. and things like that. I mean, how simple is that? Say brushing it through, we know we've got a great fold then. If that was anywhere else on the head, you could pin it, you've got great finish. It just makes our life a lot easier as hairdressers. So let's go into something else.
Shannon wants to know, will she need to bring her own hair supply?
Product.
Just says hair supply.
You don't have to bring any product, no. We supply all the product. All you need to do is bring your kit. And we will be going over kits on a future live prior to going to Fashion Week, or at least outlining the main parts that you're going to need to bring with you. And I don't really sort of tell you that you have to bring too much. It's some key things. It's all part of that fun journey. We're doing the class here, we're doing the class in New York, and the benefit obviously if you do the class in New York, you've got time when you're up there to rush out and buy those essentials that you need, be it pintail combs, pins, grips, elastics. It's more of a fact-finding thing as well. The class is almost go into it blind, go into it open-minded, and then you really do know what works and what doesn't. Okay, Boone's back, the dog's back, you can see him coming in, he's having a little sniff around. He's stopping me working. So let's have a look at another combination of favourite products that I like to use. Blow and set, beautiful. Now this, in the name suggests we were doing blow dries and we were using it to set the hair. What have you been painting? No, dog's got paint on his tail. We were using this to set hair when you're doing like a big bouncy blow dry. Absolutely. Because it would set the hair. But I've also found putting this in wavy hair, using a bit of that and a bit of laser straight over the top as well, so a bit of laser straight as well, because laser straight being the smoothing lotion just allows me to create a beautiful glossy finish on the hair. So although this hair's so dry, I've got a tiny bit of water and a bit of damp, let's just have a look of what that creates. So here you see the application wise, just using it through the palms, dragging it through, roots to ends. So once again, everyone just tuning in. Laser straight, layered over the top of blow and set. Now I find blow and set is like using old-fashioned gels in the fact of how it works on curly hair. So this would be the same process on curly hair. Gels always used to be really good at blow drying curly hair straight for some particular reason. I don't know why. But what I've found is that the blow and set reacts very, very similar, but combination of the laser straight, you get a gorgeous finish. So, a little bit of hair dryer work, so please ignore the noise. Let's just see what we get. So what I'm getting is that the brush really rides through the hair really easily. And that's the combination of the two products, because both of them are very, very manageable, very, very fluid. I don't get any hard tug on them. Do that quickly. So what I mean by that is that, you know, if I'm using like traditional hair gel, something very, very sticky, you would always be having to really fight, really pull that through. And what I've got, the combination of this is that the laser straight is designed to make the hair smooth, but not take away volume. And then the blow and set, because it has hold in it, but it also has a higher shine factor, just allows me to polish the hair at the same time. Yes, you can use a different product to achieve a similar result, but I'm just talking about certain hair types and different combinations. And you saw I layered them over one on the top of one another. I'm not mixing them together. It's very important that we layer them over the top. We're not creating cocktails or something like that. It's just how I maybe want to use them in conjunction with one another, just to create something that becomes very manageable, but also holds the hair together. So once again, it's all about how does it hold that hair. Just pop that round a little bit. So you can see something's starting to take shape through here. And it stays, the hair stays joined together, doesn't separate. So that's another thing that we, you know, was making my life easier. If I want to do like a little pleat underneath, the hair stays joined, polished, finished. So there you go, a couple of combinations of different product we're using there to achieve something. Let's pull down another section. So for this, I'm going to use just a little bit of hairspray. And this is how I'm going to finish that hair and stick that one very, very close so it sits underneath. And that we could say was the start of maybe some hair up, bridal red carpet hair. So how do we take all of those little hairs out of the equation? How do we make sure that hair stays really nice and flat, smooth to the head? So this is our dry finish. So I'm going to use a bit of Max Control hairspray. Come in very, very close to the head. Using the brush, just brush that through, making sure you really do have great tension. If you've got an assistant, this is where their hands are going to come in really useful. So the hair looks really wet at the moment, so you just come straight in with a hairdryer. On hot as well. And we would do this a couple of times. And this is where you're laminating the hairspray on. So this is, say, it's a dry finish, but has a huge amount of what I call polished look to it. So this segment of what I've done here is all about putting a great finish on the hair. So if you are doing hair up, I think this is a great way of looking at it, is that I've now got one section that was been blow dried, set with an iron, and then finished with a hairspray, and just to show you how you control it all, and that you have a really nice finish. You don't have any stray hairs flying all over the place, and it's going to stay there. That's the really most important thing, is that it's going to be weatherproof, because there's nothing worse as a hairdresser to spend all that time doing hair, and then your client goes out into the winter wonderland, and we know what that can do to the hair. So you've protected it all. You've got a nice, smooth, dry finish, but that's not going to move. That's what I call baked in. So it's a baked finish. So you can see it's got like a satin sheen to it. So then we're going to look at a real high shine over the top of this. Something that we maybe want to do for, I say it's not only just like wet look hair, but because that's became a big trend, especially sort of like looking at something that's just come straight out of the ocean, but also for when you're doing ponytails, slick back looks, my go-tos for that. Now the most important thing I find for this is that I don't want the hair to crack. I don't want the actual individual hair to ever crack apart. So we come out with a bit of expander volume.
Sendel Castillo saying hi.
Hmm?
Sendel Castillo saying hi.
Hello, how are you? Thanks for joining. And where are you based? Let's find out. So a little bit of expander volume. So that's our root energizer. Obviously design once again goes on wet hair, the black lettering. But obviously using it slightly differently. So we get, this is all about being creative. Just working that hair through. Let's put on a no crease clip under this. So I would start the process off with root energizer, hairdryer. You can use a bit of water on this process as well. Water can be fine depending on your hair type, just to start it off. And that's just, it's baked in, it dries off very, very quickly. Now I'm going to come back in, I'm going to use a little bit more. And switch over to a tail comb, rat tail comb. Metal end one is great, I find that very, very useful. I'm just going to smooth that in. This is where that metal one comes in very, very useful. And what that does is, because I'm actually then allowing it to really push that hair together, that's when we start really seeing the hair join. And as you can see through here, hopefully, you're starting to see the hair become very, very sort of like moulded. Now, to add real great finish to this, I come in with some Session Max. Now, this is the key, is how do we use this? You're coming in, you're this close to it, okay? You really do come in close to control it. I'm very touching the top of it very, very lightly, so I'm not really using it like a traditional hairspray. I'm just putting a nice even coat on that. Come back in with my tail comb, once again pressing that through. It feels really wet at this point, do not worry about that. Combination of the hairdryer. Dries off super, super quick. And that's all it is, just very, very lightly tacky now. I'm going to come back in, just a little bit more of hairspray. So if this is going wrong for you, there's no need to panic, because I know you've used a lot of product on there, but you can go back and you can use a little bit of water, come back in, do your combing process again. Make sure it's all really nice and flat. Then you can go back in, add a little bit of root energizer or hairspray over the top. I normally find if it's going wrong, a little bit of water, just to reactivate it, comb it through, and come back in, bit of hairspray. And this is really like that finishing coat that I'm putting in. And the actual amount coming in, do not worry, you feel like it's just running down the hair. It's not a problem. It really is about working that back of the comb, flat of the head. And that's it, it's dry. It's absolutely, I could get Abby to put her finger through this and show you as well, but as I say, I can run my hands down it, I could use a bit of tissue, it's completely bone dry, but it now looks solid and laminated, and you say the hair doesn't crack, it doesn't start separating. So you could use a little bit of glossing spray over the top of this in a certain shine area to get even higher shine, but the hairspray is enough that we would then have that, and that could complete our little, well, we've got a little faux bob, but you could put it anywhere else on the head. That's our little different combinations that we've gone through using an iron booster spray. The curl at the bottom creates high shine, great hold. Then I've used laser straight mixed with a bit of blow and set, so we use that in layers. That creates great shine, good hold again, but a much smoother finish. Polish, and then we've used hairspray on its own for what we call the dry slick, and then we've got this wetter look where we've used a combination of Session Max and Root Energizer. So there's a little difference in hairstyling for what we consider is sort of like on trend. And for those of you that say, Shannon, if you think of doing Runway Ready with us, knowing how those combinations are very, very important. Purely because, I was going to sneeze. There will be a head of hair, especially like last season, where we had to slick the hair dead straight on the heads. You know, it was very, very short, these sort of like little 1920s looking. That was what I used. We used a combination of expander volume and hairspray to create those wet looks. So they weren't hair gel, because as I said before, the hair gel will crack, there's a tendency to crack under heat. And we use those, well, especially I look at the Sergio Hudson show. That's where those lovely little short haircuts. And there is a lady there, if you ever look through my Instagram, she's wearing black and white. Like an older model, grey hair. Her hair was tight curls. We blow dried that out, use that combination, it stayed straight the whole show. So doing things like that, it shows you how you can transform clients' hair very, very easily into something that's wearable and very, very different for red carpet events or when they're going out to a special occasion. So I've got some oversaturated hair here with a bit of U oil in there. I put a bit of Smooth and Shine. I'll put and leave-in conditioner 7 seconds, obviously, because I want to make the hair look heavy and I want to revitalise this and show you how I'll go about that. So, U-Dry Plus, dry shampoo, good for that second day, third day washed hair, what I call gym to drinks, where you've been to the gym a couple of days on the trot and didn't want to wash it. U-Dry Plus, get that ball bearing here in that shape. And traditionally, I would see clients use a bit of dry shampoo and they would just apply it in the root base and a little bit of it through here and here, and that would pretty much be it. Well, not enough in my eyes, so let's revitalise this hair up. I know it's a mannequin head, it does absorb a lot, but it still had a nice coating of product in there to make it look oilier. So that's my first layering. I'm going to come in with a hairdryer. I need a brush, a powder brush, a dressing brush, and I'm going to come in with cold air. Very important to use cold air because heat activates the sebum, the oil on the scalp, pushes it down the hair shaft. Just use cold air. Let's distribute some of that dry shampoo through it. Now I could use another coating of that, but it really is doing the job really nicely. It's really pulled a lot of that excess moisture out of it, and we're starting to see the hair come back to life. There's a couple of other uses I've got for cleaning out hair. Did you know hairspray around the hairline, just applied in a very small amount, and once again back in with a hairdryer, but I'm going to use warm air on this occasion. Can make the hair pop up yet again. Really, really good for that. So it's to make the hair weightless again, it's giving it some life. My most extreme version for this though, and where I'm going to find, where I deliberately put some real lot of oil in here, I want to use it in this part, is I use a bit of liquid volume. Now liquid volume is an extreme volumizing spray, but just use it in a small amount over the top of dry shampoo, because this will happen to us backstage where we had girls come in and they've had maybe a specific oil on their hair, it's not water soluble, etc. A bit of liquid volume sprayed into the root base, then we come in with cold air. And what we find, just purely by the nature of that product, because it's got a very satin matte finish, it puts body back into the hair. It's not going to clean it. Dry shampoo is going to help you do that, give you the effect of it all. But what it does, it just nullifies all the oiliness to it, creates more of a starchier finish, but then it takes away all of that oily look that we had. Now the hair has gone back to being looking like clean hair. It's got a jump and a bounce to it. It's got a little bit of shine to it as well.
Got a question.
Yeah.
Is there a reason you're using cold air versus hot air with a liquid volume on the root?
Yeah, so liquid volume, as I say, it's a hybrid product that can be used on wet and dry hair. So I don't ever use that on longer hair to blow dry in. Every once in a while, very extreme, but I would always use this on shorter hair when I'm creating like pompadours, etc. and things like that. But for root base, for when I want to clean the hair out, if it's got excessive oil product on there, say if someone's had a massage and a facial, it can be really greasy, and if you haven't got time to wash that out, a bit of dry shampoo, and this will really help nullify it. It takes the shine right down. You can use it a couple of times, but cold air is really important, purely because, once again, as soon as you put heat near a scalp, you have a tendency then it can push more oil out, or it can actually reactivate the oil on the hair. So using the cold air, all you're doing is taking out, like we did on the booster at the beginning, you're taking out the appearance of the wetness, but you're leaving the product on there. So hopefully that answers that question. Now then, what we've got happen over this as well, now you've got some great amount of dry shampoo through this. Guess what we can do after that? We'll just clip it out of the way. A little bit of hairspray. And a little bit of Le Play hairspray. Jump down my iron. Well, let's just see what it gives us. Now I've always found this, I don't know why, but dry shampoo as a prepping agent before you put other products on, it's just like what they call that, that Bob Ross, that happy accident. It just adds something to it, and the hold, etc. is fantastic. It's something we were doing, I was doing for years when I was using the old Unite Refresher, our old dry shampoo, before we got the U-Dry range come out. And I would just use so much of it on a head of hair. Any other questions, Abby?
Not yet.
No, anyone else saying hello? Anyone else want to shout out?
Not yet.
And all of these techniques, as I say, we discover them backstage on shoots, especially when we go and do Fashion Week, purely because what I find is styling hair, session work, it's problem solving. You are always trying to solve that problem of making the hair look fantastic, even though we've not had time to wash it, blow dry it. So, especially like Fashion Week, you could have girls that have, you know, 3-4 shows in the day. You could have all manner of products all over them, and that's the beauty of Unite. Not only are we just so flexible in their products, it's so versatile. It just really does turn the hair back into hair. So what we're looking for here is, have we created the hair to look like it's got a bouncy, curly set back in there. Here we go, popping. And voila. The hair's got loads of bounce. The oil finish is gone. Remember that near the root base up there, it's had liquid volume. We've got hairspray on there. We've used U-Dry Plus, but that's gone over the top of 7 seconds conditioner, a bit of U-Oil and a bit of Smooth and Shine. So I really tried to weigh that hair down, but all that oiliness has gone. It looks slightly drier. It's matter looking, and it's just got great hold again. It may not feel the best, it may not feel absolutely like clean hair, it's not going to. But the idea is that it's got you out of jail. It's like a get out of jail free card. It's that Monopoly card is that you can transform the hair, no matter how bad it is or how bad it looks, into something that looks really great, bouncy and pliable again. And this will just have just great hold on it. It's going to last all day. As I said, sometimes out of disasters, we can have great success. So then, my last couple of products I'm going to use, I definitely want to use it on this. So I've got a shag haircut. It looks a little bit dishevelled and a little bit frizzy. So what is my number one product I'm going to use on that? Well, of course, U-Dry Fresh, our leave-in dry conditioner. Now a lot of people would use this, just a little bit of a dusting, and that would moisturise their hair. Well, you find, especially when we say we were at Fashion Week, this to me was my standout product. So anyone who hasn't watched that one, this was my standout product in September. We were using gallons of it on all hair types as well. It's fantastic on curly hair. It's brilliant. We already knew that on extensions because we'd road tested it before. But for all hair types, doesn't weigh it down, but it just really revives the hair. So combinations, dry shampoo, but it's the application's key. Using the brush, really work it into the hair. And I'm using this really like, you know, it could be said I'm using it like a dry shampoo because the hair is coarse and I want to refresh it and make it look like it's been washed. So, nice amount all the way through. Yes, this is going to suck it up, mannequin head once again, but keep it going. Back in with a hairdryer. Cold air once again. Hold on.
Got another question.
Got a question, go on.
Can this product make the hair feel or look oily if too much is used?
Very extreme case. I really haven't found that at all. It's just a case of common sense when you're using it. See what the hair's like, but I really haven't. What I would do, I would put some in, blast it through and have a look at it, and you can always add more as opposed to trying to do a complete finish all in one go. Put some in, put a little dryer on it, put some more in. But no, I haven't found that. I really don't. And what I like, it's taken out some of that sort of like lighter colour from it, and now the colour of it looks even all the way through, but super easy to brush. Joins the hair back together again. Very, very, what I love about it is just makes the hair so brushable. So anything you've got, it's always that sort of like equal and opposite reactions. Your hair feels a little bit too starchy. You may have gone mad maybe with a bit of expander dust or something like that. I think, you know, just use the combination of the two. Just throw in some U-Dry Fresh over there. You've always got the answer. It's the same the other way around as well. Hair's a little bit oily, bit of U-Dry Plus, and you can always throw over the top. We're done with liquid volume, expander dust, extreme one. It will just knock it straight out. So once I've done that, I'm going to finish off the whole of this with a little bit of Second Day over the top. Second Day, obviously that lived-in Second Day feel, but it has like a semi-sheen vibe to it. So we've really calmed this hair down. She is with her curtain bangs, but the hair has been nullified. So great on really thick, dense hair. Calm it all down. Bit of U-Dry Fresh. So that was our little go-tos. A sort of bit of our creative session of using products. This live is recorded and it will be uploaded on Unite TV. On Instagram under live replay tab, and you can follow us on Instagram at Unite_Hair TV. And any questions regarding any future live classes, just email unitetv@unitehair.com. Reminder, if you're interested in Runway Ready and Fashion Week, go to class requests at unitehair.com. And I'm just wishing you all, a Merry Christmas and a great New Year. I look forward to seeing you in 2022. Thank you.